in my way. Why, oh why? Always asking why. Needs to know what's going on. Under pressure, proving his existence, losing confidence, filling holes with anything but consciousness about himself. Greed is taking over for spectacular events. Information for the mind is stirring to the body.
Welcome to the Cosmic Reality Radio Show, where our hearts are our masters. Your hosts are Nancy L. Hopkins and Walt Silva. Producing the show is Colleen Kelly. The theme song is called Disturbance and is written and performed by Renate Jet and Jet Music. You are listening to Wolf Spirit Radio at wolfspiritradio.com.
Emotionally undercover for a lover overdressed. The cycle is created long before you start to think. Got the blink, it's your decision what you do. No clue for the Foo Fighters.
And you are live.
Welcome to the Cosmic Reality Radio Show. This is Nancy Hopkins speaking. I have Walt Silva, my co-host, on. Colleen Kelly is producing from Haggy Shack Radio. And this is Wolf Spirit Radio that you're listening on. Probably most of you. You can listen to it on Haggy Shack also. It's July 12th, 2016, and we are in the midst of something pretty phenomenal because we have Tolec on as a guest. Now, I honestly I knew of Tolec's reputation, but I really have not, studied what he is doing and what he's been doing. So let me just read basically just an introduction to him, okay? Since 1993, our guest has been called Tolec. He is a human representative of the Andromeda Council. The Council represents aligned benevolent star systems and planets from both the Milky Way galaxy and that of neighboring Andromeda. The Andromeda Council maintains 12 biospheres stationed in this solar system. Tolec coordinates with 5 representatives of the Council and has been obtaining guidance from them since the age of 5. His contact with the Council takes the following forms. 1. Telepathic communication while he is completely awake and conscious. 2. Communication with him in his sleep or his dream state. 3. Brief snapshots or photographic images as well as streaming movie shorts. 4. Some automatic writing. And 5. Interdimensional travel of his soul essence as well as the physical travel of his human body over 100 times to the Andromeda Council biospheres where many council and subcommittee meetings are held and where his position is on the Joint Earth Council, a subcommittee. Is that correct here, Tolec? And please say hi to Walt Silva and Colleen Kelly. Colleen and Kelly, this is Tolec.
Hi there.
Hi, Colleen. That's a great Irish name, lass.
It is.
Yes. I saw that. I went, she must be Irish, just a tad.
And Walt,
Nancy,
let's say hi to Tolec here. Just say hi.
Hi, Tolec. How are you? Thank you for being here, our guest tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here. Nancy, to answer your question, was that correct? 99.9% of it. And my only correction is that I received the Tolec name once I started doing, if you will, the sharing of this information, the teaching. I ended, if you will, my corporate work life in early April of 2011. And interestingly enough, the Andromeda Council website, I began working on it a couple of weeks later, and it went live the last week of April. Now I'll back up for a moment. On September 10th of 2010, this gentleman who I know as the commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere, same gentleman that I now know who's originally from the planet Dakota, which is the same planet that my original soul essence is from. He and I reestablished contact in September of 2010, and I went through an enormous, incredible period of me getting comfortable with all of this communication going back and forth between me and him, and me and three other Andromeda Council people, and me asking more and more questions, and this, if you will, this huge database of information started to grow. And by March or so, I went, I need to do something with this information. I think people have a right to know what's going on in terms of the work the Andromeda Council is going to be doing on this planet. On behalf of the people.
Can I jump in here for just a second? So you met them, you were contacted. What was the date that I said? I don't remember what the date I was because I was reading it.
Well, yeah. What you said was that you essentially said I'd received the name Tolec and had been working with the council since 1993.
Right,
and that's
exactly.
Kind of true. What happened was the very first physical conscious contact that I had with them as an adult did in fact happen in the late summer of 1993. I took 3 time travel trips within a period of about a week and a half. And I'm certainly happy to go into that story if you'd like me to, but short of doing that, I took 3 time travel trips from what was then contemporary Earth, me living in Tucson, Arizona. I think it was late August of 93. And I and this gentleman who's the commander of the Primary Andromeda Council Biosphere, he and I hopped in his craft and we traveled back in time to western Kentucky, Virginia area in the 1840s. We did it 3 times within a week and a half. Pretty much after that, I had no more contact at all until we started communication. We started communicating again in September of 2010. And that is the period of time that I received the Tolec name in September of 2010 when he and I started to talk again.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. But can I ask you something? Because actually, just asked it too. Was why did you go back to that particular time? And you went back to the same place 3 times?
Right. I've told the story many times. I'm happy to tell it again. In essence, the people that we observed, went back up a moment, without telling the whole half-hour story, essentially, I left my condo against the Catalina Mountains in northern Tucson, 4:20, 4:15, 4:30 in the morning, over the area of the San Javier Mission, about 25 minutes south of where I was living. Took a right into a dirt road out in the desert, came through a dry wash, up over a little rise, and there's this, what looked to be about a 35 to 40 foot in diameter craft. He was standing outside the craft. I got over my excitement. I went over to join him, recognized him. I felt some movement in the craft as we left Earth, but once we got sort of like on top of Earth space and, we were looking down, I could see the planet. I didn't detect any movement at all. We basically went through a jump gate. 1993, boop, and whatever he did to dial 1940s. And we watched a family of, a mom, mid to late 20s, in his middle 30s, a son, 9 to 10 year old, and a daughter, about 3 or 4 years old. And to make a long story short, during the third occurrence, at the end of this week and a half period, during that third occurrence, there happened to be a barn fire, and the daughter was inside playing with one of the animals, a goat or a lamb. I think it was a lamb, actually, and after some rambunctious playing, she laid down to take a nap, and there was a fire in the barn, and the daughter died of smoke inhalation. And there are a lot of other details to this whole story, but essentially, this gentleman, at that moment in our time, because keep in mind, I was from contemporary 1993, we were observing this experience over their home. At that moment, he said, because I asked the same question. I'm like, geez, out of all the experiences that you and I could have participated in, you brought me back in time to watch this horrific experience with this family? And they're like, yes. I said, okay, why? So I asked the same question you guys did. And they said, or he said, first of all, this body that you have, you are genetically related to these people, genetically, physically. They're relatives of yours. Right? Oh, okay, all right. He said, secondly, you as an earth human, and earth humans in general, you have a much broader range of emotions and feelings that you experience than we do. Now I'm going to create a numerical example. Let's say that we on earth experience a broad range of emotions, like on the far left beginning at number 1, on the far right at 50. Again, this is my visual. He said essentially, we only experience somewhere between like 15 and 35. Again, I'm trying to use numbers to give a sort of a sense of a literal measurement for how somebody might measure the depth and breadth of emotions. And he said, and therefore, as earth humans, you are far more dramatic, maybe not the right word, but you are far more dramatic and emotional and in the way you feel and the way you express your emotions. And third and most important, there are some, because of the area of space that your solar system, including your planet, is about to enter, in the coming years, there are going to be some significant changes and events on your planet, which will include some loss of life. And since we are here to help, and we will be here to help for many years, we thought it would be important to reach out to you now and to observe your behavior as somebody we know, that somebody we've known. You work with us. We've worked with each other for a long time. We wanted to observe you as an Earth human to better understand how other Earth humans respond to a tragic situation, because we understand what you're going through, but we kind of don't, because and at that time they were mid-level fourth dimensional people. They're now like, I'm going to use numerics again, like 5.2 or 5.3 fifth dimensional. So that at that time they're mid-level fourth dimensional. And he said, as higher dimensional people, and he's like, keep in mind, I've never stepped my vibration down, and the people I'm working with, we haven't stepped our vibrations down to have any 3D Earth lives. We've always been four-dimensional people, 4D people. As 4D people, we don't experience death. We'll live as you would calculate it, 7,000, 8,000 years or so. And then we make a conscious decision. I think I've learned enough within the context of fourth dimensional life. I'm ready to go experience the full breadth of life experiences as a fifth dimensional person. That's how they migrate. That's how they evolve from one dimensional life experience to another. They don't experience death. So that he and they didn't have any reference point for the emotional depth of expression and feeling that we have when we lose somebody. There are a lot of other pieces attached to this and what death really is and what it isn't, but for the sake of this explanation, those are the reasons why he chose to communicate with me back in 93 and show me that event with that family. And interestingly enough, there were another 2 or 3 experiences that I was personally involved in where there were lives lost. And the best comparison I can provide to anybody is that much like they have a real difficult time understanding why we use money on this planet. No, they know that money got instituted by, the reptilians and the Anunnaki, thousands of years ago, but for them, they don't use money. There's no need for money because as higher dimensional people, they can manifest and create whatever they want and need, either from their own minds, because as higher dimensional people, their minds are far more capable and far more infinite, if you will, than ours are in our current form. And whatever, I'm almost done.
Okay,
I'm almost done. And
Sorry.
B is whatever they choose not to use their minds for in terms of creating something, they have amazing technology. They can manifest whatever they want. Think of in the Star Trek universe, somebody walks up to a replicator on a ship and he goes, I want a salmon dinner or a cup of coffee. And there it is. They have that kind of technology. So that's the end of the totality of that story, and I'm happy to field any questions about it.
Well, I'm just curious. So they've never had a 3D experience?
No.
They just sort of started their creative endeavor in a fourth dimensional environment.
Right. And actually, most of the people on this planet, and the number is somewhere between 70 to 75% of the people on this planet today. I'm not talking about the bodies. I'm talking about the original souls. We are not from this planet. Most people are from different star systems, and they've been coming here for about 100,000 years. The oldest souls on this planet would be the people that you might think of as the original Lemurians. Even they came from somewhere else a long, long time ago when this planet was still a higher dimensional world. Because this planet held higher dimensional form a long, long time ago. And they've been here a long time. So most people inhabiting or animating these human bodies don't come from this world, A. And B, in your natural state, you are in fact a high energy being, a higher dimensional being. I've used this analogy before. People like it. It's fun. So I'll go here. Think of, I guess, what people might call your great soul or your oversoul. Think of it as a 24-slice extra large pizza. It takes about roughly a slice or a slice and a third maybe to animate this human body. And even at that roughly slice and a third of spirit essence of your original oversoul is about 3 times as big as this human body. It's kind of stuffed in here. And the people that my contact people from the Andromeda Council that I'm dealing with, most of them from the planet Dakota, and there are others, but primarily those guys. These people have made choices not to step down and live 3D lives. Including this gentleman who's the commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere. And it may seem a little clumsy, but I commend their efforts to say, if we're going to be of help, of substantive help to these people in the coming years, we better take some serious steps and make some preparations to better understand them, to better understand how they tick and why they go through the emotional upheavals that they do when someone that they love, what they call, dies. Because in other civilizations that I've learned about, other organic ET civilizations, they just go, well, I just put another suit away. They really don't consider it death. It's just the human suit is just a temporary. I don't think of the movie Avatar. It's just a temporary avatar experience, and it's considered that way because, again, our oversoul, when we were originally created, that drop of water from the ocean called creation, It's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. My understanding is that we've all had experiences for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And this one experience that I'm having in this earth body is just one of them. I don't know if that answers the question in totality, but.
Well, but just before we started the show, I said to you that I'd actually been on with you as a co-host on one of Jay's programs.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And what I said to you was something that Simon Parks had mentioned, in that the human being has all of the DNA of at least 12 star families.
Yes, even Alex Collier says something similar. He mentions that there are at least 22 races of people involved in the DNA of an Earth human. There's going to be a woman speaking at the Transformational Shift Conference this coming October. Her name is Itasha Tashina. I don't know exactly what percentage, but she is some percentage of Apache, Native American. And she married into an Apache family on the White Mountain Apache Reservation. The relevancy to me mentioning her is she knew she was different from a young age. And sometime in the recent past, I guess, she had her DNA tested and, received a report on the genetic breakdown of her DNA. The scientists that did this analysis came up with a number of about 20 some odd % of Earth human DNA. Now, if you speak with Natasha, she knows that she's originally from the Arcturian star system. I'm not talking about her soul essence in this case. I'm talking about the person. And what the scientists found out when they were looking at her genetics is that 80% of her genetics are from off-world. They could not find any genetic markers for 80% of her specific human DNA, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how many other people would fall into that same category.
Yeah, it's a good question. A friend of mine, Jerry Wills, he's originally from the Tau Ceti star system. I don't remember the planet right now, but he was left here as a baby. He is a Tau Cetian, at least from the Tau Ceti star system. So there are other people. That's not the case with me. My soul essence is originally from the planet Dakota. But this Earth human body is, white, Caucasian, male, Western European. I mean, it's, at least in this lifetime it is. I've had three lifetimes as a Lakota warrior, Lakota brave. One as a Dakota with a D. One as a Hopi medicine man. I'm aware of another one as I don't know what kind of title to put on it, but I had some kind of rank in Thailand or Burma. I've seen the clothing that I wore and the period that was consistent with that clothing, and I know based on what I know about world cultures, I was from Thailand or Burma. In the 1800s, I'm aware of being an African American mixed race buffalo soldier in Southwest Texas. And apparently in that lifetime, I wasn't a good dude. And some Native American gentlemen who were brothers to a woman that I was keeping at the time. She kept going back to them and reporting to them how badly I was treating her. And they shot me in the back and killed me. So I guess I deserved it. So, I mean, that's just a smattering of my own awareness of some of the lifetimes that I've had as someone from Dakota living Earth human lives. My understanding is that I've been coming to this planet for about 75,000 years as we calculate Earth time. And if you don't mind, I'm going to dovetail into a short story that will give us a more clear reference point in terms of how our lives, as we live them and calculate them, are so different from theirs.
Sure, go for it.
Alrighty. I was having a conversation with this gentleman who's the commander of the Primary Andromeda Council Biosphere, and he's actually responsible for all 12 of them that are in and around Earth space. And the conversation went something to the effect of, no, this is me speaking. Listen, I know that I've been a student of the topic of time for many lifetimes. He's like, And I probably have not done a good job of asking the question and really having a grasp on how our lives are experienced time-wise as compared to yours. So I'm aware enough this lifetime that I'm going to ask the question from a different perspective. Now, you guys tell me that I'm originally from the planet Dakota. He's like, yes. And I work with you guys on the Primary Andromeda Council Biosphere and one of the subcommittees. He's like, yes. And I said, and I've been up there working quite a bit. He's like, yes. I said, so, since you know me and have known me for a long time, and you say that I've been coming to this planet for a long time, he's like, yes. Therefore, from your perspective, not mine, from your perspective, using Earth terminology and Earth references, from your perspective, you say I've been coming to this planet for 75,000 years as we would calculate it, but as you would calculate it, how long does it feel to you that I've been gone? He paused and he was like, using Earth time? I said, yes. It's about a year and a half, like what you would call a year and a half business trip. And I went, what? Because I'd come to a clear understanding that my soul had been, or at least a slice of my soul, had been traveling to this planet to live Earth human lives for approximately 75,000 years. And I had just learned that to them, it feels like I'd been gone for about a year and a half. That's the difference between how we as organic Earth humans that live maybe, I don't know, women will live in their 80s, most men in, their mid to high 70s, and that's it. Organic life done. With them, they live, as we would calculate it, they live thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And they don't die, they just kind of make a choice to migrate up. So it's been, I know there's a lot there, but it's been an incredible experience for me to be able to learn tidbits of information, and because I'm, I guess, curious, and I don't take simple answers, I keep asking questions. So that was the answer to that question, which is essentially...
Well, my question here is that, okay, first off, the Andromeda Council, what tweaked them to come to Earth? Why are they paying any attention to us? Why do we seem to be of some import?
Good question. The upcoming higher dimensional transformational shift of this world will be the first time, wrong word, but here we go, will be the first time that an organic world will migrate, will transform from being an organic, land, mountains, grass, trees, fish, animals, people, of organic life, muscle, sinew, blood, bones, tissue, you cut us, we bleed, that kind of thing. It'll be the first time that a planet of this type, with organic life forms of this type, go through a transition, which we're going through right now, And that at a particular moment when a confluence of events happens, at that moment there's a change. And for most of those beings who decide to stay in this world, they will transform at that moment into becoming a mid-level fourth dimensional people. And in essence, the planet, first the planet, it's virtually simultaneous, but the planet and the people and the animals and the fish and everything. Now there will be some species that are going to leave, and there will be some humans that won't be able to tolerate the shift. And they'll likely reincarnate, start new lives on some other 3D Earth-like world. But to summarize that, the totality of what I just said, it'll be the first time. So it's unique and distinct that the transformation of an organic world into a higher dimensional one happens this way.
And why is it happening here? Just because it's happening, or is it? Because Simon likes to refer to the Great Experiment.
I was having a conversation similar to this with Mark Kimmel, I think about a year ago, and we were delving into different aspects of this conversation, and he brought up something I hadn't considered, and this is information that he shared with me, and so as we were discussing different aspects of this very topic, he said, well, keep in mind that, and again, he and I are talking, he's like, we both believe that there is a creator, a creation that created, the multiple universes and the multiple galaxies and the multiple planets and solar systems and stars. I'm like, yes. He said, well, there are also like creator, and you could use any number of words. You could call them creator gods, small G-O-D-S, all small letters, creator gods, godlets, sub-gods, that are higher dimensional beings that have mapped out an evolutionary blueprint for all sorts of cosmic life forms. A star has its own evolutionary blueprint, like our sun. Our sun is in the process of evolving from a yellow sun into a blue-white sun. A planet, this specific planet, has an evolutionary blueprint. The planet Saturn does as well. The planet Jupiter does as well. They all do. And they are represented by mathematics and fractals and what we would call sacred geometry. Well, we are in that era of transition leading up to the imprinted evolutionary blueprint of this world in its destiny, maybe? I don't know what other word to use right now, but in its destiny to become a higher dimensional one. It's part of its evolutionary pattern. That's the best way I can describe it.
But this is but for some reason, Earth is in a special category. Now, you said that Earth had once been a higher dimensional, yes. Okay, and that yes. Somehow there was a fall, or it
yes.
Ended up in the third dimension. Did that happen?
It didn't. My understanding is that we started as 11th, and I don't know a lot about this, but I'll give it to you in the major points that I know. We started as an 11th dimensional world. And again, Mark Kimmel knows more about this topic. And we were stepped down purposefully because there were some real problems. There was some interference. And rather than it's kind of like a computer, rather than have the whole thing crash, it was stepped down purposefully.
Okay, but we probably don't need to get into to that right now because we're going the other way. I'm thinking in my head,
Yeah.
Let's just say, because our audience, we have this kind of feeling that we we accept any kind of help from what we call the out-of-towners. Okay.
Yeah, good description.
Sure. But we have a very reasonable, cautionary, and untrustful kind of attitude towards them. Now that's
sound like New Englanders to me.
Yeah.
I can say that because I'm a New Englander. Keep going.
Okay, so, but you consider yourself a human being who's in contact with others off-planet, off-worlders, outer-towners. You're just working with them. You're not saying that you are them, and if we don't do what you need us to do, that you're going to cream us or whatever, which is what we've gotten.
Oh, not at all.
You know, okay. So your people are just there because I messaged you earlier and I said, because I had finally gotten over to your website and I looked at it a little bit, and you say that the Andromeda Council, one of its first members was the Galactic Federation. Now, I have been working directly with the Galactic Federation since 1989, knowingly, oh, you've introduced yourself, you're the Galactic Federation, who the hell are you, you know?
Okay.
And my audience knows that this is the cat thing where the cat talked to me and introduced me to the Galactic Federation. That's that story. So,
I don't know that story, but keep going.
Oh, you want me to tell you that story? I was just talking to the audience.
If you want to.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, some people aren't gonna, because you probably got a lot of followers that might be listening to us. Okay, I'm gonna make it really quick. It was back in 1989. I came home. My cat Ben was really sick. Instead of calling the vet, I called a psychic who I'd seen be able to look inside a human body and absolutely tell you exactly what was happening with it. She was and is probably the most impressive person I've ever worked with. So I called her and I said, Ben's not feeling good. Can you tell me what's happening? And so she gets quiet on the phone and she comes back and she says, he has some kind of an implant in him. Now, we never had heard the word implanted in 89. And I said, what does that mean? And she says, it seems like it's jamming a signal. And I said, okay, how did it get there? And so she goes quiet again and she says, all right, I see him in the yard. And she describes the yard where she thinks, you know, and I know exactly where it was. And she says, two figures dressed in black with helmets on came down right on either side of him, grabbed him, and implanted this thing in his chest. So I said, okay, can you get it out or can you stop it? And she said, quiet again. And she comes back and she said, and I'm talking, these quiets are like 5 minutes, right? And she comes back and she says, okay, I think I've turned it off, but he's going to be very sick for three days at least. Don't bring him to the vet, for God's sakes.
Yeah, quick question. Was it an etheric, energy-based implant or was it a physical implant?
Neither of us would have known to know that at that time. That's 89. This was
I know.
First times we ever encountered any concept even of this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Looking back on it, no, I think it was physical.
Okay.
So,
Ben the cat, he's sick for 3 days and...
He's sick for 3 days. I come home on the morning. I was working nights. I come home in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, he's eating, he's doing good, and I do the things I have to do. I finally sit down and he jumps up on my lap and he says, I gotta tell you a story. Now, I'm a trained telepath. I'd worked at it for a very long time.
Okay.
I knew I was getting a telepathic signal, okay? Now, people freak out. They're going, oh, you talk to your cat. Well, my position is either the cat is actually talking to me or I think the cat is talking to me, and I think that's worse. So I'm going to believe the cat is talking to me, understand? So
I have a localized telepath story for you about a fish that I experienced 2 days ago that I'll tell you after we're done. Keep going.
And then maybe I'll tell you the lizard and the frog. I mean, I can talk to anybody now, but not my own dog, not my own cat. I have to call in somebody else. But,
I love it. Ben. So Ben the cat.
Ben the cat. So Ben told me that he was a representative of the Galactic Federation, and that there was a problem in that the Earth was being attacked by an extraterrestrial group who had been mining green tourmaline from the planet. And that green tourmaline is the carrier of the male essence, and the planet was actually starting to get unstable because of this massive mining project they were doing. And they had the right to do it because there was nobody on the face of the planet that was in a state of claiming dominion over the planet. And that somebody had to claim dominion over the planet so that the Galactic Federation would have permission to sort of scoot these little, I call them the marauders, out. Okay?
Well, I think the reptilians would have an argument with that statement, but keep going. Because they were certainly claiming dominion over Earth for many years. No longer.
This is the Galactic Federation talking, okay? Because they've got to, the reptilians may claim dominion over it, but if they don't have a right to claim dominion, it doesn't matter how many times they're going to say it. The only people that can claim dominion over this planet is Gaia's creations.
Very well.
Gaia
keep going. Go ahead.
So, anyway, what happened was that I said, well, if you need somebody to claim dominion so that you'll come in here and help, oh, fine, okay. And Ben's last message to me was, you're probably thinking this is a little crazy, but go check and see what happened in Russia. And, so I did. I went to, the New York Times and other things, and sure enough, there had been a very peculiar landing, a UFO landing in about 300 miles from Moscow there, and this vehicle had come down, and out of it came somebody that looked like had three eyes, and there was a robot, and there was three individuals, and it was being absolutely publicized in the Soviet Union that this happened. And so what I got from that was that, okay, the marauders were afraid that somebody was going to claim dominion and then they would be out of luck. So they decided to kind of like make a squirrely kind of attack thing to see if they couldn't frighten the humans into submission. And so they were using, in my opinion, some of the images that were already there, such as the day the Earth stood still, when you have the robot coming out, know, and the silver. They were silver. I think they were in silver. They were very tall. They were like 9 feet tall. They did have one kid started screaming, and they just sort of like focused a thingy at him, and he stopped. Like frozen and paralyzed. He came back when they left. So, I mean, but this, wow. Now you'll find that now that you'll see, debunking of this particular thing. I don't think so. And again, because we're talking timelines, it could be true on one and not true on another. But in my reality, that was the truth. But after I had been introduced to the Galactic Federation, they began to communicate, not like other guides I have, but more like really kind of like radio telepathic signals coming in. We need you to do ... And of course I can say no, or I can play the game. Either way. But I've been doing this for decades. Mostly it's energy work. They managed to get this property here. It's an acre of land in North Miami. And it has got a tremendous number of vortexes on it, but one of the vortexes is actually an artificially induced control point for the Atlantean vortex. It's just off the coast. So, and so I've been sitting here doing this caretaking for this property, and every once in a while they would have us build these extraordinary geometric forms. They would have, us do energy work with, I'm a mineral collector. I've got a huge mineral collection. And sometimes it's like, you gotta get this rock. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen that rock in decades. Where is it? And they'll lead me to it because the collection is theirs to use to make tweaking of the whatever's happening. So to me, even though I am definitely human, I know the stories about other places, but I just try to focus on this lifetime, this body. This body is human. And what I'm seeing happening is that humanity, regardless of higher dimensions and anything else, humanity right here and now, the animals, the plants, everything is going through a massive change of perception.
True.
They're seeing.
That is one part of it. Absolutely.
We've been trying to we sort of, Walt's the guy that pointed it out, the old reality, the one that is so restrictive, the one that looks like a prison planet, whether it is or not, the one that is so fearful of free choice and, sovereignty of the individual. That is working perfectly well, reality, because none of those things are existing on it. And we're looking at it and we're saying, well, let's just build our own reality. One that will work for us. And so we kind of like the shows we do, we bring people on and we try to find out, where are you coming from? How are you seeing it? Do you see the next few years to be such that terrible things are going to happen? Or what kind of a reality do you have, having had this introduction in this long time interface with the Andromeda Council?
When you say terrible things might happen, would you please define for me what you think
with
is terrible?
The dark side's agenda, 500 million people, that kind of, terrible.
Here's what, and again, everything that, and let me step back for a moment. Acknowledging everyone else's experiences and their knowledge and what people like you and other people are receiving. Everyone's experience seems to be unique in terms of how they learn what they learn, and what they're learning. So from my perspective, based on what my guys have talked to me about, boy, this is such a, all right, here's the big picture. The big picture is based on what I've been taught. The big picture is predominantly Draco and Hydra, reptilians also from the Sirius B star system as well as Orion have interfered with, abused, and to a very, very great degree manipulated global human society for thousands of years. And that era of manipulation is coming to a close. The era of manipulation and domination by one species, the reptilians, who felt for a long time that this is their planet anyway, and that the puny humans, the organic humans that are here that don't even realize their own greatness, is simply a resource for the reptilians. And I know this may sound a little whacked, but
no, actually, we're okay with that.
Yeah, it's really not a strange situation if you understand it in its context. Kind of like, I don't know, a human slave trader who deals in slaves and has for years. Well, he's getting put out of business. And essentially, because the, if you will, infrastructure, substructure, operational structure, and to describe the Draco reptilians and their assistants, if you will, I hate to sound dramatic, but I'm trying to use visual words to describe. They're like dark overlords that basically exist to perpetuate themselves and their power. Their time is coming to a close on this planet. And if you will, the prison nature of this planet that they and their human, like lieutenants, the ones that they serve, that implemented the money system here and everything else. Early on when I started this work, I said, what are you talking about, prison planet? This is an absolutely beautiful, incredible planet. Well, both statements are true. This is a beautiful, incredible planet. It is one of the jewels of the universe for many reasons. Primarily because of its great diversity of life. However, and I'm not saying that all reptilian species throughout the cosmos are bad news. These guys are specifically bad because, as a reference point, and you'll remember this as a child being in school, and this part of our history is accurate. At one time, there were dinosaurs on this planet. And there were the big kind of schlumpy dinosaurs that kind of wandered through the marshes, and they ate plants and moss and algae, and very tame. Didn't bother anybody. Well, there are also, Tyrannosaurus rex and Velociraptors and all sorts of dinosaurs that are meat eaters. The current versions of the reptilians that have been running this world, and they actually have a number of others under their grip, and they have for thousands of years. When they were in organic form, they were meat eaters. And when they temporarily choose their organic form on this planet today, there were tens and tens of thousands of them that I'm aware of. There are now approximately 120. 65 to 70 are pure reptilians. They're deep underground. The others are outer space, human hybrid, and reptilian mixed. But a total of about 120 at the most. 70 of them are pure. 100% of their cabal military and Illuminati combined undersea and underground bases have been destroyed. So their superstructure, their power structure is collapsing, and matter of fact, this process of undersea base destruction was completed in last week of May, first week of April 2012. And Nancy, since you've been doing this stuff for a while, I think you'll find it's no surprise if you kind of think back. When did we start to see a more heightened level of activity in terms of maybe numbers of, if you will, infighting and the different crashes that have happened in the banking system, specifically the number of high-level international bankers that have left banking in the past 3 to 4 years. It's in the hundreds. This is all tied together. And what has happened is there's a power vacuum because all of the high-level generals, military, cabal military, and high-level Illuminati officials, reptilian and hybrid, 99.9% of them are no longer here. They're off planet. So basically, all the bad guy overlords, the bad guy dictators that have been running this planet, they're gone. And whoever's left, the human, if you will, lieutenants that were serving those reptilians, now there's a power play. And they're going to do whatever they can. They know that this transition period that we are in is leading to a transformation of this world, and they're basically going to try and take as many people as they can on the way out. A. B, they are going to do as much as they can to create situations which will perpetuate fear so that they can perpetuate the control of the masses. Now look at all of these really strange shootings that have increased in numbers basically since Colorado Columbine, like 1990 or 91, and how they've progressed, especially like in the past year and a half to 2 years. Unprecedented. These are not normal situations within a normally evolving society. And I will tell everybody here categorically, this has nothing to do with terrorism. Matter of fact, it was by one of those chance situations. I got the local paper here. I think it was Friday morning last week. And I don't think you will ever see this headline again. And it said, I'm going to paraphrase, snipers found killing Dallas police officers. Normal members of society, even criminals, are not snipers. These are trained, covert, black ops, off the books, military is not the right word, but para something. These guys are sleepers. The people who have been doing these travesties and tragedies on the human population, including the Boston Marathon, including the Charlie Hebdo incident in Paris, the 20 some odd of these in the past year and a half, 2 years. These are not local citizens or people that have just flipped. These are programmed people who are turned on specifically to carry out acts like this to keep a population in fear and controlled. This is all part of the collapse of the dark reptilian society and its agenda. It's the last gasps of an operation that's about to die. And that's all it is. The loss of organic human life is tragic, but it's not what people think it is at all. And to see the individuals that are turning this thing into an emotional, distraught party to help keep people in fear and to get them kind of like, look over here, it's the police system, it's race issues, it's this, it's not any of that. It's manipulation of the few people that are still in power trying to keep control. If I would advocate if anybody stepped far enough back from the Colorado Columbine incident of the killing of those children and just track all of the events, they're almost perpetual. It's like whenever we have some moments of quiet in society, they trigger somebody else.
Well, you know when it all started really was, do you remember the postal thing? Oh, they went postal?
No, yeah.
You remember that?
Postal,
every single one of those postal people that went postal was on Prozac and
right after postal was the anthrax scare. It came right after that.
Yeah, and all of this was, you can watch the step up of, okay, they bought that, they bought the postal people going crazy. Now let's go to the kids.
And I'll say this categorically. I am not a conspiracy guy. And my friend Jim Nichols, he's a researcher. He looks at conspiracy kind of issues. I'm sharing this knowledge based on what I've learned and I know about the reptilian organization and its superstructure and how it does what it does and how it's controlled, manipulated, abused, eaten Earth humans for thousands of years. Even Simon Parks, when we were having a roundtable discussion with JP, stopped him and he said, Tolec, you're the first person who's spoken out loud and given real numbers. He's like, based on everything I know, that figure of 120 reptilians remaining on planet is absolutely accurate based on what I know. And also, you said 70 or so pure reptilians. That number is accurate. So, and there are other situations and circumstances where I'm happy to say that I'm not operating in a vacuum. There are other people that are getting pieces of this information from their own sources. And Simon happened to corroborate what I was talking about, which is always awesome in my world. That somebody can independently, without bias, go, yeah, he's telling the truth. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it seems like we have a trending of truth. All the stories starting to come together and be the same. We're at the top of the hour, so we're going to take a break here. AI is trending. It's my theory that there's the theory that you have this AI in some other galaxy, I guess. I'm not quite sure if it's a universe or dimension, but let's just call it a galaxy that could not evolve spiritually because they don't really have the soul essence, and so the only way they can do is expand out to the galaxy, into the universe. And so they came from some other galaxy, and the Milky Way is under attack. And that the first people that they got a hold of was the Draconians, and the Draconians were a really good decision because they're aggressive anyway. That was the nature of their society. So it doesn't take much to tweak them to get them to go running around bringing technology into different areas so that the AI can then infiltrate through technology. I'm aware of the fact that
the 15 undersea bases that were destroyed, each one of them, each one of them used Draco reptilian technology to beam, if you will, energy signatures. You could also call it artificial intelligence, because it was specifically meant to create anxiety, anxiousness, confusion, fear, trepidation, all sorts of, if you will, and it's, what we're talking about is energy signatures in a lower vibratory scale that were highly agitating to a number of populations. There was a base in the Gulf of Aden that was pointed directly at the Mideast. That base was taken out. There was a base off the Sea of China that had an AI beacon that was pointed toward China. There was also an AI transponder on Phobos, one of the two main moons for Mars. That thing was taken out. So I'm certainly aware of the use of AI technology and how badly it can mess people up. But this is the first time, right now I'm only speaking for me. As a concept, this is the first time that I've ever heard that AI technology is purposefully being used to change timelines. I've never heard this concept before. But thanks for bringing it to my attention.
Well, I'm not, I don't know if it's true or not, but see, to me, these things are just indications of a reality change. You know, that where we were saying, you know, we're going to change reality, it's changing. The discussion of the Dracos and the 3D reality of that, the 3D, let's say, system of that particular reality with the Dracos, you know, falling apart, and now the minions are fighting amongst each other because they don't know what to do. They don't have their leader. All of that is almost like the Matrix is starting to break apart.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know? And so I don't know if we're just seeing the Matrix falling apart, because like one of the things in the discussion of the Bible is that Jesus at one point he's supposedly saying in the new version, you know, bring them before me and I will slay them. Well, he never said that in any of our Bibles until now, and now they do. Everybody remembers it's bring them before me and show me, so that he could demonstrate forgiveness. And instead, it's this vengeful, you know, critter that's there. And so it is changing the makeup of even how we would have viewed Christ. Okay? And what Colleen pointed out is that reality is what you think it is, and now because so many Christians have been able, she actually got into a verbal tit and tat back and forth with this guy that was like defending the fact that, yes, well, Jesus said that because they were giants and you're going to kill them because they're giants. And she's going like, well, that's not, you know, love your brother as yourself. I mean, you don't go killing people because they're different. And yet this guy was adamant that it was okay to do that. And that's the Christian, not for everybody, but that is a part of what the myth is of Christianity, that says I'm going to be a crusader and I'm going to go, you know, smite the infidels. And so is it that reality that has been kind of hidden to us because we've seen the other reality, the reality of a great Christ who's saying, no, you've got to be kind, and you know, everybody's hanging together, and the things that we say in the New Age, basically. But what you got going now is that the fact is that people are seeing all these changes that we know are not what we remember. So we have got to have, and I'm real, I mean, I've got things that in my yard, they're pavements, and every time there's a big major change in the reality, they add another pavement. So I got a walkway that should have ended, I counted them, 6 pavements before, and they keep adding more. The dang thing is now halfway out into the driveway. Nobody would put anything out that far. And so I can see these changes, but the changes now are being so in your face that it's got to wake up people, because certain people are just, you know, they're not going to believe it until they start seeing these changes that they can't dispute. You know, it's a fascinating time.
It is certainly the nature of evolution that things change. I mean, I'm not the same person I was 2 days ago, much less 2 weeks ago. I'm constantly evolving. And there are things that I would do today regarding decisions that I made in the past that I would handle differently. So in terms of that kind of change, we all, I think even those people who fight evolution, we all evolve. We are in a extremely dynamic era of change. Is there a coordinated effort to change the timelines to mess us up? This is only my personal opinion. I don't think so. I think what is happening, and what, at least from my sources, what I've learned is happening is that, as expressed and as showed to me by the gentleman who's this commander of the Andromeda Council, and actually Ambassador Tonka kind of confirmed it because we got together one time, we were discussing this. They showed me essentially, think of a freeway system, a highway system, and a predominant timeline going down the center. They also showed me 12 different lanes on the left and 12 different lanes on the right. And the farther out you are on the right, this planet or any other would be off kilter, out of center, if you will, from their predetermined evolutionary timeline. And two things that I can say for sure, based on my own conversations with my guys. A, the timelines, the possible timelines are coalescing and coming together. That much I've learned. B is that things are not always what they seem. I wish I could express it differently, but we're at a place of, again, timelines coming together, and there are, in fact, changes that are happening every single day. Some of them are synthetic and created by others are cosmic and happening out in space, and they're affecting the planet. Somebody making a coordinated effort to change the timelines just to mess us up further? I don't know. I have a hard time buying that one, but that's me.
Well, it's a possibility. I mean, I don't underestimate the ability of the dark side to do things. But I think it's just an indication that it's falling apart. Now, I know that my sister...
Can I throw in a 2 cents worth?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
I agree with Tolec that I don't think it's a deliberate messing up of the timeline, because because of the nature of the details. You know, it's little things like names, and well, nobody would call the Bible a little thing, but my perception is that because collective consciousness is changing, and this is one of the things that Andrew Bartz has spoken of at length, like, in order for time to become a social agreement on this planet, like in Europe, they went around putting, you see in the old, European cities, in the town square, they put this big clock, and chances are that the clock is sitting on a ley line, because they wanted the people to agree on a specific time. Because time isn't fixed to anything. I mean, you could have a time bubble over here that's flowing very slowly, and you could have another one over there that's flowing very quickly, and there's no conflict, there's no damage, you're not affecting nature. It's just you make your time flow the way you want it to flow. But they wanted the whole planet to be unified on a specific time concept, so they went around putting clocks wherever. Mm-hmm. So what we're having here is you're exploiting the collective consciousness to do something that you want, because you're in control, you want this, and you want things to run the way you want them. So okay, I'm going to get all the people, unbeknownst to them, I'm using their consciousness to agree to this particular construct. Well, as that old reality is crumbling and collapsing, and people are waking up more and questioning everything, for me, it stands to reason that as people are unplugging and pulling their energies away from that old reality, that the very fabric of reality will start to unravel and appear as changes. Things that forever were spelled a specific way or called something, now all of a sudden is not there anymore. Because I agree with the concept of the evolution, but the details that Nancy's bringing up is stuff that's written down. To my knowledge, books don't evolve. They're just made of paper and they sit on a shelf for centuries gathering dust. So if you go back to a book that's 200 years old and all of a sudden the text is not the same text that everybody remembers, then the book didn't change itself. So my perception is that as collective consciousness is changing more and more, this is becoming, it's like exponential, then by all means, details of the reality have no choice but to change. The universe responds to consciousness.
Well, the thing of it is that the changes are so stupid, they don't even make sense.
That's what makes me think they're not deliberate in any way.
No, that's
if they had a theme, like for example, if they had a specific theme, if you start adding them up to create a mosaic, okay, if I take all these changes and put them in a big picture, I can see there's a trend. They want people to focus more on this or more on that. But it isn't. It's just like a haphazard thing. And it's the very nature of the reality matrix. There is less and less people feeding the old system. Therefore, it's becoming something completely different. Like, I remember seeing on this Mandela effect thing, I forget the name of the author. He published a YouTube video, and he mentioned many of the references that Nancy made, but the one that got my attention was the very last reference. He says, I remember clearly all my life that Staten Island had only 2 bridges. Now it turns out I'm looking at these books, at these geography books and atlases, and they show that Staten Island has 3 bridges. Since when? So that was funny to me, that reference, because I lived in New York for 20 years and I had to drive around doing computer servicing because that was what I did, IT work. And I always knew Staten Island had 3 bridges, and 2 of them were built in the 20s and the youngest one was built in 1959. So, but in this gentleman's reality, he was never aware of 3. He always only knew 2 bridges. So it's like you're meeting people from other timelines. All of a sudden they're coalescing.
Well, for every question that I asked, I had it wrong as to what's out there now. But the one thing that I differed from they're calling them Mandela affected people and un-Mandela affected people. The only one was regarding the Kennedy assassination. Now, I'm an authority on the Kennedy assassination, and it has always been 6 people in a car and a black Cadillac. Okay, now in my reality, that has always been there. But when I'm going like, okay, they've taken it too far, right? But then, and I thought, well, maybe they're focused on the back part of the car, and they don't realize that it was a driver and a guard, and then it was Mrs. Conley right behind the driver, and then Conley, the governor of Texas, right behind the guard. The president was behind Conley, and Mrs. Kennedy was behind Mrs. Conley. That's the way it's always been. But now all these people are saying, it was only 4 people. I thought, well, maybe they're focused and they don't realize, memories.
2 people in the back seat.
There's so many things that could have gone. But then they started showing things that I cannot really get my head around, like 2 museums that have cars that are supposedly identical to the cars, and they're only 4-seaters. Now, it was a jump seat. And maybe they didn't put the jump seats up in these photographs, which would not depict what's really happening. Then there was an official Secret Service movie that was done reenacting it, and they were only using 4. So there was indication that, somehow or another they manipulated that. But what I was interested in my own case is that I remembered what it really was. Because I knowingly jumped a timeline to come over here. So I know that on that timeline of truth, in fact, it was 6 people in the car. But over here, apparently, there was only 4. So whatever reality that is kind of showing itself now is glitches in their storyline. Nothing about the assassination makes sense if you've only got 4 people in the car. Because it didn't happen that way. So it's just so fascinating to see this just transpiring in front of us. But I mean, Walt, did you grew up in Argentina? Is there things that you now, like for instance, if you got to go look at a picture right now of the Great Pyramid, the Giza Plateau?
Yeah.
I remember the pyramid is dwarfing the other 2, right? Not anymore. Now I remember New Zealand being to the northeast of Australia. Now it's to the southeast of Australia, and it's like Australia has come up in the maps and is now, way up north and too close to Nepal, above it. Greenland is about 3 times as big as I ever remember it. I mean, the maps they've got out there, go look at them, because that was when I went, whoa, wait a minute, this doesn't even look right to me.
Well, it does align with quantum physics. All possible realities all exist.
Yep. Yep.
And if you know how to, Inelia Benz is always talking about it, that she says in one of her, she was actually scanning one of her parallel realities because she wanted to learn how to do investments. And she found one. She found herself in a parallel reality where she was very successful. But her own self told her, whatever you do, don't do it because you're going to stink at it. And she says, I was absolutely right in that other reality. When I tried it, I failed completely.
Yeah.
So.
that speaks to the importance of listening to your intuition. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 10 minutes, or 8 minutes actually left. Tolec, you got the message you want to leave?
Well,
first off, let's get contact information. Most people, I guess if they just put your name in, they're gonna find you. But
the best way for people to learn about all the things I've learned over the course of the past few years regarding the Andromeda Council and its work is at the Andromeda Council website. So it's Andromeda, ANDROMEDA. In this case, council is spelled COUNCIL.com. And people can most easily reach me at my YouTube channel. So if they go onto YouTube, they can click on the About button, or however they get to YouTube, just look for Tolec, Tolec, from Dakote. D is in David, A-K-O-T-E. Then they can click on the About button and then click on the Message button and send me a message. That's how I answer all the questions that come flooding in. And in terms of a message, the thing that I'd most like to share in the last couple of minutes is that I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm producing a large-scale conference with the help of Jim Nichols and JD in Tucson, Arizona, the weekend of October the 21st through the 23rd. And there are going to be some amazingly gifted people that will be presenting there, including Mark Kimmel as the keynote speaker. We're going to have a number of, I think right now the number's up to 4. We may have 5 very gifted Native Americans, including Grandmother Silver Star. This is the same woman who co-produces the Star Knowledge Conference. And she is part Cherokee and part Lakota. Itasha Tashina, this woman who is mostly Arcturian and Apache, she will be there. Nancy Wilcotts, who's Lakota from the Cheyenne River Reservation, she will be speaking. my adopted sister Adana, who's actually from the planet Dakota, she was named Silver Wolf Spirit Woman by the Seneca people, the wolf people of the Seneca tribe. So, matter of fact, Michael Lloyd Brown, an incredibly gifted psychologist, and has done countless regressions of people who've not only had ET experiences, but of people who absolutely understand now, after their many regressions with him, that they are off-planet people. They are from Arcturus. They're from the Sirius star system, the Deneb star system, Tau Ceti, Antares, Arcturus. They come from all these different star systems, and they're living Earth human bodies. So Michael Lloyd Brown will be speaking about his experiences and the regressions with those kinds of people. Mickey Free, a Grammy Award winner and 5-time Native American Music Award winner, will be playing the Native American flute on Friday evening. So it's going to be, I'm just excited because I feel really blessed that we're going to have some amazing people that will be presenting and speaking. I'll be speaking as well. But
now, how can people get a hold of tickets or whatever is required?
Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. The website is Transformational Shift Events with an S on the end, .com. And if they just go to the conferences and events button, up at the web tab on top, it'll send them to a web page that has every single piece of information they may want to know about the conference, including being able to buy tickets and being able to book a hotel room in Tucson.
Is there a link on your website so they can get to that?
Yes, there's also a link on the Andromeda Council website on the home page, right on the upper part of the page, so they can click on that as well. Yeah, absolutely. As in terms of a message for people, my best advice to anyone, and this is my own personal perspective, is take whatever time is necessary to discover who you truly are, each person. Find out what your most unique gifts and skills are. Do those things as much as possible. Do the things in life that make you the most happy. And share your love and your happiness with everyone that you come in contact with on a day-to-day basis, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. Because all we have is this moment. As you're, I'm sure, very aware, all we have is this moment that we're living.
I thank you for that, and I got one more question for you. What was your Shungite story?
The Shungite story. I think I mentioned this. I'll keep it brief. 3-4 days ago, I typically eat a pretty balanced lunch every single day, and in preparing lunch, I pulled out a cucumber from the fridge and I cut it. And when I cut that cucumber, I looked down and I immediately saw the pattern that is on Walt's page on the far right-hand corner, which essentially is the top-down view of a pyramid with a dot in the center. And if you will, the top of a pyramid, like the top point, and then there's a point at the bottom left and the point at the bottom right, and then there's a dot in the center, and there would be a line from each of those points, A, B, and C, going to the center of the pyramid in a top-down view. That image is on Walt's website. I saw that exact same image in the center of this cucumber. I was astounded, and I had no idea what I was looking at. And then 2 days later, you told me about Shungite, and we started talking, and then you pointed me to the different images, and I went, I just saw that image.
Yeah, our guides are masters of synchronicities.
Yes, amazing. My telepathy story. Long story short, I was at the ocean. I was watching this fish kind of going between the waves, and he kind of got stuck. When the waves go out, they create this rippling effect in the sand. Now this fish was, it's a fish story, but I'm trying to do my best to be literal. This fish was about a 1.5 feet long by about 10 or 11 inches high, and about 3/4 of an inch wide. I think it was a pompano. And he just kind of got stuck. He got stuck in one of these ripples. So I picked him up. He's flapping all over the place. I said, would you please keep still? I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to put you back in the water. He stopped flapping around. That moment, he just stayed still. And I walked another 10 or 12 feet out into the water, and I put him down, and he swam away. But I was astounded.
Good story.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to end because we're at the top of the hour. Tolec, thank you so very much for being with us. And, you just do very good work. And good luck with it sounds like a fascinating event. It truly does.
Yeah.
So,
I'm really blessed. We've got some amazing people that will be there. So, and thank you for the good wishes. I really appreciate it.
You have a round table coming up with JP?
Yes, I do. July, let me double check the calendar. It is Sunday, July the 24th. Myself, Alex Collier, Simon Parks, and Wynn Keach.
Cool.
And no format, just wide open, all four of us talking, comparing notes.
Very cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun. It's always fun when we get the four of us together.
Yeah, well, you've been together, and your shows are good, so we'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Walt, thanks so very much. Colleen, appreciate you. Audience, love you, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again, Tolec. Be safe, everybody, and just keep an eye out for these changes.
Well said.
All we can do is take notes and talk to one another, and try to figure out where we're at. But we're in it together, so we'll be fine. We're going to be fine.
That's right. Vaya con Dios.
Thanks again. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.
Several federal gatherings make it ring in my ears, bring me tears over the years. People stop believing, achieving, feeding the whole land in the end. The pretenders pretend and warriors feel sorry.